A doorbell rings. A small box lands on a front counter. A label says potassium cyanide. A staff member freezes. The office goes quiet for a beat. That doorbell sound becomes the moment everything changes. You're about to see how a routine marriage story turned into a homicide case, step by step, document by document, and finally, verdict by verdict. This is Twisted Case. We focus on verified records, center victims, and keep the storytelling clear and responsible. If you appreciate that approach, subscribe so you don't miss the next case. Angela Craig is the anchor of this story. She's a mother of 6, a planner, a person friends describe as steady and kind. She keeps the family running, appointments, school, meals, and the small details that make a week work. Her strength is practical. She doesn't seek attention. She builds a home that feels safe and predictable. James Tolliver Craig is her husband. He's a dentist in Aurora, Colorado. Patients know him for a calm chairside manner and a careful touch. The office feels standard for suburban dentistry. Bright lights, mint scent, the low hum of equipment. The job is about control, precision work, sterile rooms, measured steps. At home, mornings have a pattern. Someone blends a protein shake, someone grabs gym clothes. The door by the kitchen opens and closes all day. Most relationships are built on these ordinary motions. Most stories stay there, quiet, uneventful, unremarkable. But there's more going on. Like many families, the Craigs face real pressures, money stress, church commitments, and the private weather of a long marriage. People see them at school events and Sunday gatherings. No one expects what will happen next. Sensory anchor. In these opening minutes, picture winter light through a kitchen window, the soft sound of a blender, and the click of a front lock. Normal. Familiar. First incident. Angela starts to feel unwell. The symptoms are scattered at first. Headaches, dizziness, nausea. She can't keep food down. She feels weak. A family member calls for help. Paramedics arrive. The house is normal, but Angela is not. She goes to the hospital. Doctors run tests. They look for infections, metabolic issues, anything common that could explain the symptoms. Results don't immediately point to a cause. She improves a little. She's released. She goes home. Second incident. The symptoms return. This time they're worse. Another hospital visit. More tests, more confusion. Friends and family see a concerned husband at the bedside. He asks questions, comforts the kids, and seems exhausted. Nurses see a familiar scene, a family in crisis with uncertain answers. Third incident. Angela crashes again. The illness intensifies. By now there's a pattern. She gets sick, gets some care, then gets sicker. The official story is still medical, doctors trying to solve a mystery. The family story is worry and fatigue. At this point, nothing on the surface suggests foul play. It looks like a bad streak of health. It looks like complicated medicine. It looks like dreadful luck. The digital activity. Investigators will later seize and image devices connected to the dental office. Inside the browser history, they find searches that prosecutors consider crucial. Queries about undetectable poisons, about how to make poison, and about specific substances like arsenic and potassium cyanide. These are not one-off late-night curiosities that pop up once and disappear. They form a pattern that overlaps with Angela's episodes. The shipments. The state's timeline focuses on online orders. Records show arsenic ordered first. then potassium cyanide. The purchase accounts and shipping addresses connect to places James controls. Delivery scans put packages on a calendar. That calendar lines up, in key spots, with Angela's collapses. The office moment. Staff in the dental practice encounter a small box with a concerning label. It's not a normal dental supply. One person reads potassium cyanide and reports it. That single decision, pausing to read, choosing to act, will move this case from medical mystery to criminal investigation. The other relationship. Parallel to the home crisis, there is communication with another dentist, messages, travel planning, and a relationship that moves fast. The state will argue that this context matters. It's not salacious detail for its own sake, it's motive and momentum. A double life forming while a spouse declines. All of these items, searches, shipments, the office package, and the extramarital relationship, do not prove intent on their own. Together they raise a hard question. If this is only a medical story, why do the digital and shipping records look like preparation? We mark one scene as the exact turn, the day the cyanide box appears in the office. A courier arrives. A signature is collected. The box is set down. A label is read. A call is made. From this moment, the frame changes. Detectives open a case file. They start with what's documented and work outward. Who ordered what, when it shipped, who had access, who benefited, and who was harmed. Once law enforcement starts connecting digital history to medical outcomes, there's no going back to the earlier storyline.
We now climb the case in clear steps. Each step adds information that either moves the story forward or repositions what we already know. No flourishes, just what the jury will see and hear. Step A, the browser history. Forensic work recovers search terms, video views, and article visits about undetectable poisons, cyanide, and arsenic. The entries appear over days, not in a single burst. The dates are significant. They sit near Angela's first hospital visit and intensify around later crises. The inference from the state is simple. Someone was researching methods and substances during the window when Angela became ill. Step B, purchases and deliveries. Order confirmations and shipping data form a second pillar. Investigators obtain records from online vendors and delivery companies. Those records show arsenic ordered first and potassium cyanide ordered later. A package with cyanide is delivered to the dental office and discovered by staff. That discovery triggers a direct report to authorities. It anchors the case with a physical object the jury can picture, as concrete as a shipping label in evidence. Step C, the food and drink pattern. Friends recall Angela getting protein shakes from James. The state's theory is straightforward. The shakes are a delivery system. Early small doses resemble common illness, headaches, nausea, confusion. Later, with stronger dosing, the symptoms become severe. Finally, a decisive dose. Prosecutors argue this approach hides in plain sight. It uses the routine of care as a cover. Step D, the hospital window. One detail the state emphasizes is chilling. A final dose delivered while Angela is hospitalized. If true, the timeline suggests that someone close to her, with access and opportunity, gave a substance that overwhelmed her system. This idea lands hard in court because hospitals symbolize safety. The suggestion that the last step happened under clinical lights, with monitor sounding, reframes the moral stakes.
Step E. Chemistry and tox findings. Toxicology results connect Angela's symptoms to identified substances. Reports reference cyanide and tetrahydrozoline, the active compound in common eye drop solutions, with arsenic as a condition in the background of her decline. Medical witnesses explain how these chemicals affect the body, how oxygen use is disrupted, and how small doses can mimic benign problems until a final dose stops critical systems. The language is clinical and precise. Jurors don't need to be chemists to follow the bottom line. Step F. The extramarital relationship. Messages between James and another dentist are introduced with timestamps. The testimony isn't presented to humiliate, it's offered to illuminate motive and state of mind. Plans for visits surface. Flirtation becomes logistics. The state's story, a new life, begins to form while the old life collapses. The defense answers that relationships can be messy and that poor choices are not felonies. Jurors are asked to weigh whether this context supports the homicide theory or simply proves character flaws. Step G. Post-arrest conduct. Another set of facts arrives from inside the jail. According to testimony, James writes communications that prosecutors interpret as an attempt to fabricate digital evidence. The instructions reportedly involve obtaining equipment, using privacy-oriented browsers, and creating a backdated video that would make it look like Angela asked for chemicals herself. The alleged goal: to inject doubt into the timeline and the intent. Whether every detail is proven or not, the state uses this to argue consciousness of guilt. The defense counters that the state reads too much into confused, emotional writings from a man under pressure. Step H. Financial stress and opportunity. Investigators also review accounts and practice records. They surface debt, cash flow problems, and pressures that bear down on a family. The courtroom math is not sensational, but it helps answer a familiar investigative question: who benefits and how? The state argues that money stress formed part of the motive, alongside the new relationship and a desire to exit the marriage without the cost and disruption of divorce. The defense says financial stress is common. Millions struggle without committing crimes. Step I. Witnesses around the threshold. We return to bystanders who decide to act. A staff member who reads the cyanide label. A relative who tells a nurse, "I'm worried about poisoning." A friend who shares timeline texts. None of these people are detectives or lawyers. Their decisions to speak become keystones in the case. Without them, there is no fast track from suspicion to evidence. The trial unfolds with predictable rhythm. Opening statements, witnesses, exhibits, cross-examination, and finally, closing arguments. Prosecution's frame. Angela's illness follows a repeatable pattern. The digital trail shows research that matches the method. Orders bring the chemicals into the defendant's control. A staff member finds cyanide tied to the practice of dress. The relationship outside the marriage provides motive and timing. Toxicology results match the suspected agents. Post-arrest communications suggest planning to cover tracks. Defense's frame. Symptoms can result from many conditions. Medicine is complex. Searches may represent curiosity, not intent. Chemicals could be for self-harm, a misguided cry for help. The office package's presence is suspicious, but not conclusive. The affair is immoral, but irrelevant to guilt. Post-arrest letters reflect stress, not a plot. Reasonable doubt remains because alternate explanations exist.
Jurors listen for days. They see photos of the home, screenshots of messages, spreadsheets of purchases, and timelines that align deliveries with medical crises. The judge instructs them to evaluate credibility and evidence, not sympathy or anger. The room is careful and controlled, but everyone understands the stakes. On verdict day, the courthouse is warm by late morning. Families gather early. Reporters take seats. Jurors return to the box. For the audience, everything that felt scattered at the beginning, illness, stress, a busy clinic, a doorbell, has narrowed to one decision point. And the judge asks the foreperson for the answer. As the room holds its breath, the clerk ready with the form, the gallery quiet enough that you can hear a pen tap a desk and then stop as the words are read. Words that carry the weight of months of investigation. Guilty of first-degree murder, with additional counts involving solicitation and evidence tampering addressed in the same session. The sentence is immediate under state law: life in prison without the possibility of parole. One short announcement, one life permanently divided by steel doors. This case is about Angela First. She is the person at the center, the victim whose routine was used against her. The documentary record, medical files, shipping records, device logs, keeps the story anchored to the harm she suffered and the choices others made around her. It is also about ordinary thresholds: a kitchen counter where a drink is mixed, a front door where a delivery arrives, a checkout page where someone clicks place order. Each threshold looks minor in the moment. Together, they form the map of a homicide. Finally, it's about bystanders who choose to speak, the staff member who reports a label, the relative who asks a hard question at a nurse's station, the friend who shares texts. Those actions do not remove pain, but they shorten the timeline to accountability. Many cases don't get that help. This one did. So how do we use this case? Not to live in fear, not to cast suspicion on every partner who makes breakfast or every package on a doorstep. The lesson is more practical and measured. Notice patterns. When a loved one becomes ill in a way that doesn't track with normal diagnostics, keep notes, dates, symptoms, what they ate and drank. Documentation helps clinicians and investigators. Check access. If unusual chemicals arrive in spaces where they are not needed, ask why. In a clinic, know your supply lists. At home, question items that don't fit your life. Share concerns early. If your gut tells you something is wrong, tell a medical professional or a supervisor. It's better to be embarrassed by a false alarm than to regret a silence. Protect digital records. Browser histories, purchase logs, and device access all matter in emergencies. Consider how you'd retrieve them if needed. This case forces a hard policy question that doesn't have a simple answer. Should we prioritize empowering families to act on early instincts, to document concerns, to request toxicology, to report suspicious purchases, knowing this could create false alarms and strain relationships? Or should we focus on institutional safeguards, flagging certain chemical purchases, auditing office inventories, and building hospital protocols that automatically broaden testing when symptoms and circumstances don't align, knowing this raises privacy and resource concerns? Which approach would have changed this case sooner, and why? Tell us what you think, respectfully, and explain the principles behind your answer. Justice and mercy both matter here, and they don't always point to the same policy.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more gripping true crime breakdowns, mysteries, and criminal psychology stories, only on Twisted Case.